Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome back to another week of Tehillim. We're still holding over here in Ayin Aleph, number 71 of Tehillim. And we're starting today from the 6th verse, Vav, number 6. And the Pasuk says like this. Dovid HaMelech again he's going through difficult times, which is nothing new for Dovid HaMelech. That seems to be the story of his life. This is coming after his sin with Bathsheba, which has caused him a lot of problems and punishments coming from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he's once again on the run, and he's being chased down by his enemies. Even his own son, Avshalom, is turned against him. And through the entire Tehillim, as we've seen already, and we will continue to see, Dovid HaMelech never lets go of his emunah. He never lets go of his bitachon, which again is a very important point for us to bring out, that unfortunately too many times when we find ourselves in a situation that is difficult, one of the first things that goes is our emunah. When it's overwhelming and it's hard for us to believe, how could such a thing be happening to me? That's when the emunah, that's when our faith, it goes out the window. But Dovid HaMelech teaches us, as he's going to teach us over and over and over again in this Tehillim, it's the first thing that you have to actually grab onto is your emunah. And he writes like this, Alecha, this is verse 6, Alecha nismachi mi betin v'mei imi. Upon you, Hashem, I relied for support mi betin v'mei imi from the time that I was in the womb of my mother. Ata goizi b'cha, and you have come to kind of separate me apart. Sihilasi samid, my tefillah, my prayer is going to be to you constantly. So the simple pshat, the simple understanding in this verse over here is that Dovid HaMelech is saying what it would be obvious, that while I was in utero inside my mother's womb, and there's an umbilical cord that is connecting me, and it's feeding me, and it's nourishing me, and I'm getting everything that I need when inside of there. So you are the one that I relied upon from the very, very beginning of my inception. Mi betin me'imi, when I was still in the womb of my mother, in my mother's stomach, I was being nursed and nurtured and fed and taken care of solely by you. However, something shifts at childbirth, as everybody knows. The baby that's been living inside of this liquid womb for all those months, and everything is being fed through the umbilical cord, and somehow we're able to breathe in a world which is filled with fluids and survive and live and get all the nourishment, all the minerals, all the vitamins, everything that our mother ingests goes into the child. But everybody knows the moment that baby comes into this world, everything changes. Besides the fact that the umbilical cord is going to be cut, but suddenly they're breathing, they're crying, they're screaming. Food has to come from the outside and has to go in. They have to open their eyes. They have to be able to see. Everything shifts and changes in an instant. As anybody that has given birth to a child knows what that feeling is like when the baby is coming into this world. Says Dovid HaMelech, from the beginning you took care of me, and you took, when I was in the womb and when I was connected to the umbilical cord, it was all you, Rabbi Shalom. And then when things shifted and things changed, and I came into this world, and the cord was cut, and the food was coming from elsewhere, even there I recognize it's all you. And it's really like two stages in a person's life. There's the moments in our life where we feel that we are connected to the umbilical cord of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The blessing is flowing, everything is coming in, all the brachas, all the goodness from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Of course, a person recognizes then that everything is coming from Hashem. But then there are moments in our life where we feel that we are separated, we are cut off, we are distanced. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we wonder, where are you? Says Dovid HaMelech, even in those moments when we wonder, where is Hashem? Where is HaKadosh Baruch Hu in my life? If this is how you're taking care of me, Hashem. As we always make the joke, I think you got the wrong address, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So you came to the wrong house. What are you doing over here? And the answer, says Dovid HaMelech, is that even then, even when I feel like perhaps it's not what I was looking for, it's not what I was asking for, It's not what I was envisioning and thinking about, but I recognize, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that you, in fact, are the one that is taking care of me now as well. That, I think, would be the Pashut of Pshat, the simple explanation in this pasuk. Rav Hirsch says the following idea, and he says, and he frames it in the context of the life of Dovid HaMelech, because as we understand, Dovid HaMelech did not have a very easy life. And he says, the circumstances into which I came at my birth indicated to me that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was my sole support. Alecha nismachti, I cast all of my support upon you. Now again, this David could understand that since everything about the inception of a child and the growth of the child and the formation of the fetus inside of its mother, it's clearly all from you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So too I recognize that everything in my life is from you. And he says like this, but what is this language that David is using? Ata goizi becha. You have cut me off. You have separated me. What is that all about? So says the Rav Hirsch. You set me apart from the very moment that I left my mother's womb. You isolated me, and you caused me to stand apart from those with whom it would have been most natural I should have had close contact with. Dovid HaMelech was not beloved by his family. As a matter of fact, when Shmuel HaNavi came to crown the new king of Klal Yisrael, and he came to Yishai, the father of Dovid HaMelech, who had 10 beautiful sons, so he came and he said, no, I have to come and crown the new king. So Yishai lines up all of the sons, from the most strapping and the handsome and the strongest and the tallest and the brutest of them all. And he says, well, go take your pick. Which one do you want? And Shmuel HaNavi says, no, it's not that one. It's not that one. It's not that one. It's none of them. So Yishai said, it's none of them? So who could it be? He said, well, do you have any more sons? He said, I have one more. This little redhead kid, he's out there. He takes care of the sheep. He's not who you're looking for. Says Shmuel HaNavi, no, that is the one I'm looking for. Bring Dovid HaMelech over here. Let me take a look. And sure enough, Dovid HaMelech was pronounced Melech. He's pronounced the king over Klal Yisrael. His brothers despised him. His father didn't believe that he had the koyach, that he had the inner strength and the potential to become a leader of Klal Yisrael. So Dovid HaMelech says to the Ribbono Shel Olam, you brought me into this world, such a prestigious, elite family. You gave me this gigantic neshama that should have been soaring its heights amongst all those that are most beloved to me. And yet from the moment that I left my mother's womb, I realized one thing. It's me and you. That's it. I'm not going to trust, I'm not going to rely on my parents. I won't rely upon my brothers. I won't rely upon the people around me. It's just ani v'hai, it's me and you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is where my sustenance, that is where my life force, that is where my success, that is where it's all going to come from. And so he writes that David found little love and understanding in the family group that he was born into. He was rejected by his family. But as a result of that, see, this is how a person changes their life. There are many, if Dovid HaMelech would end up, God forbid, he would become like a serial killer, and he would end up in a court somewhere in America, and they would say, he was rejected by his family, and his father didn't believe in him, and his brothers bullied him, and he had a really hard life. So the judge would say, okay, no, Nebuch, what could we do? Okay, he's exempt, he's innocent. But no, Dovid HaMelech didn't do that. He was forced to depend upon his inner resources. He went inside of himself. And that's what he says. Lesser men might find defeat in such a situation. But a vigorous mind and a rich and noble spirit like Dovid HaMelech is capable of rising above this handicap. In fact, he would making it into an adequate basis for the development of a personality. Hashem deals everybody their own hand in life. The way exactly it's going to look, that's up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The way that we're going to respond to that situation, that is up to us. So you could have a loving family. They could take care of you. They could be all around you. They could hug you. They could kiss you. Your brothers could believe in you. Your father could hold you on a pedestal. Your mother allows you. Good, wonderful. Or you could be a Dovid HaMelech. Father doesn't believe in you. Your brothers bully you. They despise you. They hate you. Shmuel Hanavi comes. Nobody believes that you're going to be the king. You're all on your own. You're out there in the fields all day long taking care of sheep while your brothers are in the business world and taking care with their father and doing this and doing all that. Says Rav Hirsch, Dovid HaMelech had a choice in his life. Is he going to accept some kind of defeat and retreat to a very lonely and a miserable life? Or is he going to use his isolation to create and to forge a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Says Rav Hirsch, Dovid HaMelech is teaching us in this pasuk how to utilize the challenges that one has in their life, and that is, don't weaken and don't give up and don't retreat into anonymity. Rather, a person should use the opportunity to forge the everlasting bond between them and Hashem. And this even is, as he writes, his whole personality, who he was, Dovid HaMelech, the love of learning Torah, the love of Tehillim, the love of singing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of caring about Klal Yisrael. The Gemara tells us Dovid HaMelech was the king of Klal Yisrael. And yet he sat around all day long, and women who were in the needed state, they had to have to see, are they needed or not needed? They brought all of their maros, all of their, you'll pardon my French, but they brought all of the blood to Dovid HaMelech to examine. This is the king of Klal Yisrael. But he cared about people. He cared about women. They should have shalom bayis. He wanted marriages to be good. He wanted women not to be anxious. He wanted to make sure that the people in his kingdom, in his monarchy, they were taken care of. Dovid HaMelech says Rav Hirsch, he used a very painful reality in his life for his benefit to become the great Dovid HaMelech. And therefore he continues on and he says, it's due to his isolated position that Dovid became the great man that he was. Many people would crumble and they would fold and they would be miserable. But Dovid HaMelech went inside of himself. He went deeper and deeper and deeper into his spirit, into who he was, to become the great Dovid HaMelech. It's true, cast off by his family, but he used it as a way to find communion with himself and with Hashem. And therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu guided him and awakened him with a blossoming of mind and spirit, so that David in turn would be able to know Hashem. How can we know Hashem? We're only able to know HaKadosh Baruch Hu if our minds are pulsating with the rhythm of wanting chachma, wanting wisdom. If our hearts are open to be able to find HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if we are looking past all of the sham of this world and finding the godliness and the divine spirit in this in life. So Dovid HaMelech utilized all of that. What looked like it was a terrible thing, he used it as a way to come close to Hashem. And therefore he writes that this young boy, Dovid HaMelech, he quietly matured into young manhood. And that's the message of Dovid HaMelech in his life. And that is the message for us, that there are many things that will happen to us in life that we really wished would not be. There are many situations that we'll have to go through in our lives that we would wish HaKadosh Baruch Hu would have chosen somebody else to bring that to. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you know why I'm doing that? Because I want you to get close to me. But you can only get close to me if you get close to yourself. So every situation that I will send you through is an opportunity for you to understand yourself better than you understood yourself before. You'll dig deeper into the koiches hanefesh, into the potential, the spiritual potential that is inside of you. You'll bring it out into this world, and through that you'll be able to serve me in a way that you never would have been able to serve me possibly before. So don't look at it as a negative. You have to realize I'm doing it as a positive. And that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted from Dovid HaMelech, and he responded properly. And that, in fact, is really what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from each and from every one of us as well. Says the Mitzudas David on this pasuk over here, What does it mean that Hashem, you took care of me, mi betin, from my mother's womb, mi eis, tseisi, mi betin imi, from the moment that I left the womb of my mother. Meaning, when I was in my mother's womb, maybe you could say, it's okay, there's an umbilical cord, my mother's eating, she's drinking, she's taking good care of herself, she's sleeping all right at night, so my mother is really the one that is taking such good care of me. But once I come into this world, and there's a whole new reality. At that moment, says Dovid, I realize it's you, only you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ata goizi ato itzeisani mirechem imi, you took me out of my mother's womb. Ulezeh tamid mahalel piu b'cha, and therefore I will praise you constantly. David HaMelech realized that in his life, there's only one address, there's only one entity that he should thank for everything that is going on, and that is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When a person lives in such a way where they realize everything, now remember, he didn't have an easy life, as we're saying, and yet he realized that everything that he has is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he says, my mouth is going to be filled with praising you constantly. Now, the next verse is somewhat of a continuation. K'mayfes, number 7, K'mayfes hayisi l'rabim, therefore I became like a miracle. I became a sign and a wonder. L'rabim, to the multitudes, v'anta machasi ois, and you remain my source of strength. Says Rav Hirsch, I was this abandoned child. I was a shepherd boy. When everybody else in my family, they were like powerful and successful. And I was ignored, just resigned to sit in the fields or to roam the fields together with the sheep. And suddenly, that one little boy that had no fame, he had no fortune, he had nothing going for him, nobody believed in him, he suddenly becomes the leader of all of Klal Yisrael. Says Rav Hirsch, once that took place, I became like a moifis. I became like a sign, like a wonder, like a miracle to teach Klal Yisrael, to teach all my enemies and teach everybody around me. Look at the heights that a person can achieve if they allow HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be the one that is going to train them and guide them and raise them. Even the multitudes, these all the people that were against me, even the nations of the world, they gazed at me with amazement, says David, and you remain my source of strength. It all came from you. When a person will go through a nisayon, a challenge, and a person will hold on strong to the Rebbeinu Shalom, and they will be fortified in their emunah and their bitachon with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they won't let it get them down. On the other hand, they'll use it to become greater and stronger and more powerful in themselves and more in tune with themselves and closer to Hashem. So then when you rise from the challenge, you're a marvelment. You're a wonder in the eyes of everybody else that sees you. How did that person do it? How did they overcome? How could they have done such a thing? The answer is, if you stay close to Hashem, and you stay bonded to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you are one with yourself and one with Hashem, and you are honest, and you are dedicated, and you are committed, so then you will be able to go through those nisyonos, those challenges of life, and that will be a wonder in the eyes of everybody around you. And that, says Dovid HaMelech, is the gratitude that I have to Hashem. I survived the battle. I survived the war. Even though that most other people, in the world that we live in today, children are falling apart, literally, falling apart. You look at a kid in the wrong way. Your parent, you look at a kid in the wrong way. When he comes home from school, that's it, devastated. A teacher is not nice enough to their children. So the kid goes home, he complains to his father and his mother, and the next thing you know, you're being called in the principal's office because you were mean. What did I do? I didn't do anything. I'm not talking about myself, by the way, but I didn't do anything. They call you in. You were not nice to the student. Why was I not nice? Because you gave them a C- on their test. Well, they really deserved an F. I'll be honest with you. I was trying to be nice, so I gave them a C-. No. Kids today can't handle C-. This is a true story. I gave a test recently in school, and some of not everybody did so well. So a girl, She did miserable on the exam. So I gave them a chance to raise their grade. Now, there's only so much from an F that I can raise their grade to. But I told her, I don't want to fail anybody. If you do a certain paper, I'll raise you to a C. You had a D, I'll give you a C. But beyond that, you're not going to get, because you didn't pay attention in class. You take the whole class as a joke. You failed the test. Okay, but I'll give you at least a C. You shouldn't fail the class. Okay. So this young lady writes, you have to write like a good essay to show me that you know the material. She writes a lousy essay. Then at the end of the essay, she says, could you please give me a B+ in the class? You're kidding me, right? You got to be kidding me. But that is the world that we are living in. The world that we are living in is that I am not responsible for my shortcomings. I am not responsible for my faults. When people are against me, it's their problem, it's not my problem. If the teacher's giving too much work or gives an exam or makes me come to school, it's not me, it's the system and everything like that. So it's not my fault. So you know what? For my great adherence to coming to school every day, you should give me a B+ just for that. Says Dovid HaMelech, that's the new generation. Let's talk about the real generation. The real generation is that when you get squeezed down and when things are not going your way, you respond by squeezing out from inside of yourself the goodness and the greatness and the glory of your neshama. And then when you do that, you rise up, and then people say, wow, look at that person. Look what they went through in their life, and look how they have become this miracle in our eyes. And that is Kiddush Hashem. That is sanctifying HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name. My Rosh Hashiva, Rav Feldman, just spoke. There was a beautiful banquet for Ner Yisrael. The 90th year. Imagine 90 years of a yeshiva going strong. I think it's maybe even stronger now than it ever was before. So he told over that the mission of every Jew in our generation, especially in America, and this is the schus that we might have here that no other generation has, is that we were placed in this society, in this world today, to be Mekadesh Shem Shemayim, to sanctify Hashem's name. And if you could hold strong to your values, and you could hold strong to your beliefs, and you will persevere, even when it's not in vogue to be someone that abides by the laws of Hashem, that itself will be a tremendous Kiddush Shem Shemayim, sanctifying HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name, and that's the key that's going to bring Mashiach, he said. So he said, I want to tell you a story that just happened to one of the boys in our yeshiva in Ner Yisrael. So the boy was tested for donating platelets to someone that has cancer. And he was a perfect match. So he had to go, I think, to Johns Hopkins Hospital, and he was going to have to spend 6 hours going through the procedure of having his blood drained in order that he could give it to another Jew that was in need so that he'd be able to have a refuah shlema. And the boy was very happy to do it. So he comes 6 hours, he's going to sit in a chair. What are you going to do for 6 hours? So he came with a bag filled with svarim, with books, with holy books that he's going to learn for 6 hours. He has 6 hours, he's going to learn. So he sits down in the chair, and they start getting him ready. And on the wall, opposite the chair, you could imagine, is a big plasma TV that's just blasting. So he turns to the nurse and he says, I'm sorry, would you mind turning off the screen? She says, turn off the screen. You're going to be sitting in this chair for 6 hours. What are you going to do for 6 hours? He said, it's okay. I'm okay. He said, would you like to put like an app on your phone? And that way you can sync it in with the screen. You could watch whatever you want. You don't have to watch what's here. He says, I don't have an iPhone. I don't have any apps. What? She says. You don't have an iPhone? You don't have any apps? You want the screen off? What are you going to do for 6 hours? He says, don't worry. I brought a lot of books with me. I'm going to learn for the next 6 hours while I sit here. She says, wow. I've never seen such a thing. She turns off the screen. She gets him all set up. She starts the process. The blood is draining. Next thing he knows, she comes back with a delegation of nurses.
And the nurse is saying, look at this guy. He doesn't want the screen. He doesn't have a phone. He's just learning. He's learning his holy books the whole time. Look at him. We've never seen somebody like this before. Said the Rosh Hashiva, that's Kiddush Shem Shemayim. That's sanctifying HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name. In a world where everybody has one of these devices, where everybody knows what an app is, where even the most religious of people, when they're sitting in the hospital all by themselves, nobody else is around, maybe I'll catch up a little bit and see what's going on screen. This boy said, no. I'm a Yid. I am doing this as a chesed. I'm not going to defile my neshama to do a chesed with somebody else's life. Turn off the screen, no iPhone, no apps. I'm just going to sit and learn the whole time. When you could rise to the challenges of your life, of the generation, and the things that are going on around us, says Dovid HaMelech, you should know, as Rav Hirsch is pointing out, you become a meifis. You become like a miracle in the eyes of other people. Say, wow, that is what a person is able to accomplish. That is fascinating. I mean, so you see all these stories of all of these survivors from all the atrocities of Eretz Yisrael, or the women whose husbands died in battle, or whose husbands were taken out, or children are hostage. You see their strength of character. You hear the words of Emunah. What, you think they're just like putting on a show? They're not putting on a show. They're not getting onto a podcast like, okay, I got to be strong. I got to show the world that I believe in Hashem. No, they're being sincere. They're talking about their beloved husband of 15, 20 years, and their 6 little children at home, and now the husband is gone, and they're talking about, they're proud of that's the way that he left the world, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu took care of us all these years. He'll continue to take care of us, and I'm not giving you lip service, I'm telling you the truth. That's a meifis. That's a sign, that is a wonder, that is someone that has taken the difficulties, as Rav Hirsch writes, often the vicissitudes of life, and he rides up to a higher place in his life. You become someone that is an example to those that are around you. Says the Malbim, Rabim chashvu oisi kedavar meifis upela. Many people thought that I was like a wonder, a sign, a miracle. Shegvurasi v'atzachasi eno davar tivi rag meifis upela. Many people thought that my abilities to overcome was nothing short of just miraculous. Oh, we have to see the next verse. I'm sorry. So the next verse says like this: Yimale piti lasecha. Thus my mouth is filled with tehilasecha, with your praises. Kol hayom tivartecha. All day long, or each day, is a glorification of you, as we are saying. Says the Malbim over here. Ulam pi hayamali tilasecha. My mouth is filled with your praises. Shekoichi eino miatzmi. My strength doesn't come from me. Rak sha'ata machsi oiz. You are the source of all of my strength. Lo yechasti shum tehila al atzmi. I never praise myself. Sometimes a person is successful in the things that they do, and we lose sight of where we're really getting our strength from. And we think, no, I've got a strong mind. It's mind over matter. I worked hard. I did this. Says Dovid HaMelech, it had nothing to do with me. It's all you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm not going to take any credit. Al atzmi rak shahaya pi moli rak mitilasecha. My mouth is only going to be filled with the praises for you. Ki yachasti akol elecha, because I realize that all of my strength and all of my support is coming only from you. And therefore all day long my mouth is filled with your glory. The wondrous, miraculous things that you have done, that through them you are going to be glorified. And that's what we're saying. When a person can recognize in their life that whatever it is that we have, whatever successes, whatever even little steps we take, and we overcome, and we dig in, and we find the koiches that we have inside, even to be able to find inner strength, is a chesed from Hashem. Because there's many people that are going through nisyonos, through challenges, and they can't find the inner strength.
There's many people whose lives have been destroyed because of the challenges that they have gone through because they couldn't go deep enough inside themselves to pull out the strength that is in there. So if you're going through growing pains and you are able to access some deeper wellspring of emunah that you never knew that you had before, you're able to have the confidence and the courage and the commitment to keep going further and be strong and be fervent in your service of Hashem. That also is a chesed from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That He allowed you to be able to find the inner strength to be able to do what is right in the eyes of Hashem. Says David HaMelech, I'll take no credit for myself. I was a shepherd, I was bullied, I was left to be, they didn't think I was anything. And I was able to overcome all of that and become Dovid Melech Yisrael, the leader of Klal Yisrael. It's a maifes, I'm the wonder, you're the wonder, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm a miracle, you're the miracle, Hashem. Because you gave me the insight and the foresight and the understanding that there really is godless, there is greatness that is inside of me. And as a result, I will praise you all day long. We had this past Shabbos staying with us, Yossi Hecht. For those of you who saw him, young man in a wheelchair, he was, in 2019, he was a young man, vibrant, filled with life, running around. There's videos of him he does juggling acts and fire and all different things by chasanas, by weddings. Very, very powerful young man. One day he's not feeling so well, his leg is hurting, goes to the doctor, they put him in a brace, maybe just whatever, pulled the tendon, so on and so forth, until they find out, Rahman al-Itzlan, that he has a tumor on his spine, and the tumor is putting pressure on the spinal cord, and it's causing him a lot of pain in his leg. Now they have to get rid of this tumor, otherwise it's life-threatening cancer. They do one surgery, they do another surgery. After the second surgery, he can't walk anymore. Can't walk. And the man, he's a tall fellow, the guy that was with the life of the party, action, running, jumping, juggling this, leading the davening all the time. He's confined to a wheelchair. That's devastating. That is devastating. In the prime of your youth, in the prime of your life, you're looking forward, marriage, children, being a valuable member of Klal Yisrael, being a mashpia on people, and now you're confined to a wheelchair. That is a very devastating piece of reality that a person has to come to grips with. And he had a choice. Like the Rav Hirsch is saying, he could have allowed the precarious situation that he was in defeat him and could destroy him. Or he could say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have done this, and everything you do is for a reason. And every time that you put people through challenges, it's that we should grow and become stronger and greater. And we should be able to find deeper well springs inside of us of who we really are and the greatness of our neshama. I'm not going to be beat by this. I'm not going to become depressed. I'm not going to go down. I'll become a greater yid, a greater Oved Hashem as a result of this. And so he turned inside of himself, and he found these koichos, noiros, these awesome powers that he has inside, and he has decided to live a higher level of existence and not a defeated, depressed, lower level of anguished pain inside of him. We were walking home on Friday night. He's in the wheelchair, and we are going towards my house. And we started talking about all the things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does for him. And he realized the following. My wife and I thought about this before he came, and he realized it all on his own. You know, my in-laws, Bnei Ayin Hara, are not young, and about maybe, I don't know, it was 6 years ago or so, so their health was getting a little more fragile. We had a guest room where they used to come and stay very often for Shabbos, but it was very small, very compact. The bathroom was not handicapped accessible. It was getting more difficult for them. So at that time, we decided, you know what? Let's just do some remodeling on the guest room downstairs so they don't have to walk upstairs anymore where there's a bigger room. Let's make the guest room downstairs a handicap accessible bathroom. Let's open up the room more. It's easier for them to get along, get around over there. Sometimes they're on a walker. Let's do such a thing. My in-laws, they don't come to that guest room anymore. They have a much bigger guest room now next door to us. So that guest room is usually always available. And it's handicap accessible. And it has a shower that's handicap accessible. And the bathroom. And the room is bigger. You can fit a wheelchair in that room right now. Yossi Hech says to me, he says, look how Kodesh Baruch Hu took care of me. You thought 6 years ago, whatever, you're making this room, you're remodeling for your in-laws. But really, when I'm going to come and I'm going to get married to Sasha Frankel from Tarzana, California, and we're going to need a place to stay, we're going to stay at your house. I have a room that was made for me already. Look how Kodesh Baruch Hu takes care of me. I said, yes, I want to tell you something else. We have a ramp now that goes, we have steps leading up to our front door. We have a ramp. Why do we have a ramp? Because my father-in-law has been confined to a wheelchair for the last 2 years. For about a year and a half, he didn't come to our house. One day he says, finally, you know what? I want to come visit. How's he going to get into our house? We have steps. He's in a wheelchair. So we went out, we bought a ramp. About 2 weeks later, just 2 weeks later, we get a call that Yossi Hecht is dating this young lady, Sasha Frankel. He needs to come to meet the family. Can he come stay at our house? No problem. And he comes in the wheelchair, and there's a ramp waiting for him to get into my house. So he says, look how Kodesh Baruch Hu takes care of me. I have so much bracha and blessing in my life. I have to thank Hashem. He says, you know what? I'm going to thank Hashem right here. And he stops in the middle of the street, and he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I just want to thank you for all of the chesed, all the kindness, all the way that you take care of me. Thank you, Hashem. That, says Dovid HaMelech, is the way that we are supposed to respond to the challenges that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends us in our lives. Yes, we could choose to look at all the negative. We could choose to see all the bad. We could choose to see all the things that we don't have and that we'll never have and that we once had and we don't have anymore. We could. That would be the natural way that a human being would look at things. But says Dovid HaMelech, we're not natural people. We're Yidden. And Yidden are l'mayla min hateva. We're above the laws of nature. Someone that's above the laws of nature is not dragged down by the inertia of this world. He's living above all of that. So therefore I could look at what would other people say, tragedy. So tragic, so difficult, so painful. Oh, what's going to be? But I say, what's going to be is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted it to be. And I'm going to use this opportunity in my life to elevate myself, raise myself up, become a much greater person than I was before, because that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is demanding of me at this moment in my life. Says Dovid HaMelech that my mouth, Yimolei fiti lasach. You understand where Dovid HaMelech is holding in his life right now? He's getting on in age. His son is chasing after him. He's ridiculed by Klal Yisrael because he did a chait with Bat-Sheva, even though the Gemara says, as we pointed out many times, whoever says that Dovid HaMelech did a chait, they're sadly mistaken, but it looked like it was a sin. So he's the leader of Klal Yisrael. He is being embarrassed by his nation. His son is chasing after him. He's getting older. His health is waning. And Dovid HaMelech says, all day long, my mouth will be filled with Tehillah Secha. I'll praise you, Hashem. Because I'm so grateful for everything that you have put me through and continue to put me through in my life. That's called seeing the positive. That's called seeing the good. Many times when we get broken and we get distressed and we get hopeless and helpless is when we just begin to focus in on the bad. Says the Rabbi, don't focus on the bad. What are you going to gain? Nothing. I think they say the famous thing that it takes like 100 more muscles to frown than it does to smile. So why would you spend so much energy frowning when it's so easy just to turn it the other way and smile? It takes so much more negative energy to go into all the things that you don't have and all your pain and everything than to be happy and to feel free and to be uninhibited and to feel light. Everybody knows. You ever see people when they're walking around like this? What does that mean? Why are they walking around like this? Because they feel very heavy. Why do they feel so heavy? Because they're depressed. Why are they depressed? Because they're looking at all the terrible things they have in their life. Then you see a person walking around like this. Smile on their face, floating around. He's lighter than air. What's happened over there? He's happy. So what would you rather be? Like this or like this? Heavy or light? Happy or sad? Smile or frown? What would you rather be? Says David HaMelech, all day long, I'm just going to praise you, Hashem. Just praise Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you that this didn't work out, and thank you that this didn't go the right way, and thank you. And then when all of that, then you say, thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that I'm breathing. Thank you, Hashem, that I'm alive. Thank you that I overcame this Nisayan. Thank you that you gave me the strength. Thank you, you showed me an aspect of myself that I never knew existed. Thank you, Ribayna Shaylam. When a person does that all day long, his mouth will be filled with Tilasecha. Says Rav Gamliel Rabinovich on these words, he says, you should know, Yimale pi Tilasecha, my mouth will be filled with your praise. Tilasechu miloshen Tehillim. We're learning Tehillim, so we might as well give a nice chat about Tehillim. The word Tilasecha, Yimale pi Tilasecha, that my mouth will be filled with Tilasecha, your praises, is a code word for Tehillim. My mouth, v'nir must be zeh. Ki ha'yedei sheyir ba'adam be'amiras Tehillim, by a person increasing their recitation of Tehillim, by saying more Tehillim every day, Yizkel Yidei, you will merit, Kol Hayom Tifartecha, all day long will be your glory, Hashem. Lirois as Tiferes Ugedulas Hashem Yisbarach, you will merit to see the glory and the splendor and the greatness of Hashem in your life. You, by saying Tehillim, and certainly by learning about Tehillim as we are doing, you will merit and you will cause to allow simple faith, uncomplicated. Amunah is not complicated. It's called Amunah Pshuta, simple, unwavering, clear, uncomplicated faith will be mushrash, it will be implanted inside of your heart. Ki Yedu, and he brings from the Shomer Amunim, who says, Sha'amiras Tehillim, by saying Tehillim, Mesugeles le'amuna pshuta, it's a segula, it's like a treasure. It's like how do you say segula in English? It's like almost like a spiritual trick, almost that a person could use, that will be able to bring the simple amunah into your hearts. Because look what we read when we see Tehillim. We see a man, Dovid HaMelech. He had every reason in the world to throw in the towel hundreds of times, and yet every single time he just said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, thank you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're amazing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you love me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you want me to become greater and stronger and get closer to you. So that's why you're putting me through this thing. I get it. I understand. And therefore, the more Tehillim that a person says, and they recite, and the more that they think about what is being done, what is being said over here, the greater their amunah is going to become inside of them.
Is that even without understanding the Tehillim?
So, it could even be, even without fully understanding what you're saying, you're seeing the words, the letters of Torah make a person wiser, just to see the letters themselves make us wiser. But if you really don't understand, and it bothers you, don't understand, so read them in English. Or get one of these beautiful transliterations, where it's Hebrew on the top, English on the bottom, so as you're going along, you at least have an idea of what is being said over there. Because yes, of course, if you understand what you're saying, it's going to have a much bigger impact on you and the power, so to speak, of what you're saying as well, because you'll have much more kavanah, much more feeling inside of there. Then the next two psukim go together over here. Al tashlicheni le'zikna. Dovid says, please don't send me away. Don't cast me away at the time of my old age. When my strength is failing, do not forsake me. Ki amru oy vayli, because then my enemies will say, V'shoymei nafshi noyetzu yachdav. They've been watching and seeing. They want to know, when am I going to get weak, when I won't have any of my strength anymore. Lamor, they will say, Elokim azavai. Oh, look, now he's old, he's weak, he's haggled, Dovid HaMelech. Now we can get him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu left him alone. Read for v'sivsu ki ein matzil. Let's go and pursue him and take him over, because there's no one to deliver him anymore. And therefore he writes, Elokim al tirchach mimeni. Hashem, please don't be far from me. Elokai le'ezrasi chusha. Hashem, you will make the haste to help me. You will help me quickly. And lastly, I'll just read in the last one over here. Yud Gimel. Those that want to hurt me and those that want to damage me, let them not be successful in what they are trying to do. Says Rav Hirsch, putting a lot of these psukim and these ideas together, he says like this: everything that I have, I owe to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore, do not cast me off now when I'm growing old. When my strength begins to fail, please do not forsake me. Why? Because the enemies that are waiting for Dovid HaMelech, they believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has judged them now in his old age. He did a terrible sin with Bathsheba, as they think. And now they think that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to abandon him when you were younger, when you were in your vigor, when you were doing the right things. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was with you. But now the enemies are laying in wait and they say, no, he made mistakes now. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will abandon him. And once that Hashem abandons him, so that's it. We're going to be able to get him. So therefore he's asking, please, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm not going to stop relying upon you for deliverance. I'm not going to stop relying on you that you're going to take care of me. Don't forsake me in order that my enemies will not take advantage of this moment in my life and try to get me. Say the other Meforshim over here, similar idea. And they say like this. The Malbim says, see, he says a little bit the opposite. The enemies of Dovid HaMelech will say like this: when he was younger, the reason that he was so successful is because he was young, he was a warrior, he was strong. That's why he was able to be successful in his battles. That's why he was successful as a king. But now that he's an old man, now that he's an old man and he's weakened, so he doesn't have strength to go fight up against us anymore. Therefore, David says, I want people to realize the truth. Don't forsake me and abandon me in my old age. I'm sorry. That's the verse. So then he says, fine. They want to destroy me, they want to kill me. Says Dovid HaMelech, but I can't have that happen. I need you to make everybody realize it wasn't my strength. It wasn't my might. It wasn't because I was young and I was stronger and I was more strapping and I was able to do all these things. No. Every step along the way, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was all you. And that's the only reason I'm standing in the situation, the position I'm in right now with whatever achievements and success I have. And therefore, don't forsake me. Let my enemies realize that even though that they thought that all these years it was me that was creating my success, I want them to realize and I want them to know and understand I didn't get anywhere in my life without you, Hashem. And therefore, even when they're coming against me and they're coming to try to destroy me and they want to usurp me and all of that, I understand that everything is coming from you and they need to see that as well. So it says in Yud Dalet, "V'ani tamid ayachel," and therefore I will hope continually to you. V'isafti al kol tilasecha, and I will add on praises to your mighty acts and the deeds that reveal your greatness. Says Rav Hirsch, I have not given up hope, even though they all despair of me ever being able to rise again. He's in a bad place right now. Politically, in his life, the way his image destroyed. But Dovid HaMelech says, I got this far. You took care of me this far. I have no reason at all to abandon my hope in you at this point either. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I believe and I expect. Yachel is like anticipation. I anticipate beyond the shadow of a doubt that you are going to take care of me now as well. And therefore, I shall be able to add still another Tehillah to all the Tehillos which I uttered in the past. And this new Tehillah, this new praise, may well be the greatest of all, which seems to be the following, that even Dovid HaMelech could have thought to himself at some point along the way, maybe it is because I am Dovid HaMelech. Maybe really I am. He was the biggest Talmid Chacham of the generation. He was the wisest of all men. He was the holiest of all men. He was serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu with all of his heart and all of his soul. Of course he deserved to be protected. Of course he deserved to be taken care of. Of course he should be deserved to be known in history as Dovid Melech Yisrael, the king of all of Klal Yisrael. And therefore when he overcame the enemies and he would go with his sword and he would say, Hashem, you take care of everything. Of course HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to come to his aid because I'm doing what Hashem wants. I'm a great person. I'm a lofty person, an elevated person. But now when I'm in my old age, says Dovid HaMelech, and I don't have the same strength and the same vigor, and I'm dealing with the sin of Bathsheba, and people found out about it, and they're saying terrible things about me, and I'm being shamed and everything. You save me now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You show the world that just as now it's all you, it will be made, it will reflect on my whole life. Everything was you. I will now share with you and the world the greatest Tehillah, the greatest praises of all. Because this will be obvious to everyone that if I survive this turbulent time in my life, it's all you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, has done it. And therefore I will just fill my mouth with praises and I will not stop thanking you, Hashem, for everything that you have done. Says Rav Gamliel Rabinovich on these words, V'ani tamid ayachel, I will always hope and anticipate your salvation. Ha'adam tzarich letzapais b'chol eis liyeshuas Hashem. A person must wait constantly, always, for the Yeshuas Hashem, for Hashem's salvation. Whatever a person needs in their life, they should know any second. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, look at Yetzias Mitzrayim. What do we learn in Yetzias Mitzrayim? We were enslaved for 210 years, backbreaking labor. But when HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought about the Yetzi, brought about the redemption, it was b'chipazon, as it says, in an instant. The Yeshua, the salvation, come instantaneously, just like that. V'keitzad yizke l'madregezu, how can we be zeicher to such a high level where we actually believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can save us any single moment? The advice is, I added on to your tehillos, to your praises. Yarbe ba'amiras Tehillim, says Rav Gamliel Rabinovich, say more Tehillim. By saying more Tehillim, you really believe that Yeshua's Hashem can have that the Hashem salvation is coming in a moment. Can you do it? Like is known. When a person says Tehillim, you merit to get closer to Hashem in anything that you are dealing with. So when you say Tehillim, and then it would make sense, you have to understand what you're saying so you can get that closeness. But if you really say Tehillim and you find extra time and the words leap off the page, as we mentioned in the very beginning of our studies of Tehillim, Dovid HaMelech did not just write the story of his life. Dovid HaMelech is writing the story of everyone's life. The nisyonos, the challenges, the hardships, the ups and the downs, the pains and the struggles, everything that Dovid HaMelech went through in his life encapsulated all of the challenges and the struggles and the pain and the devastation and the frustration of every Jew that would ever live in the history of the world. And when he penned the Sefer Tehillim, it wasn't only what he was going through, it's what you would go through thousands of years later in your life. And that's why the words are so meaningful, And that's why they are so powerful. And that's why they apply to every difficulty in history for all generations, because he actually had in mind all generations. So therefore, says Rav Gamliel Rabinovich, you want to get to a level where you actually believe that the salvation can come like that, like that. I remember when I was dating, I was what's called an alter bacher. I was an old man in the world of dating. And it was getting very difficult. And I remember going to a chasana of one of my friends from yeshiva. The guy was 19 years old. And I was 26, I believe, at the time. He was 19. Guy was in diapers and I'm with a cane. I mean, come on, what's going on over here? And I remember going to the chasana and I'm dancing around like, what? Hashem, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Why is this? What? I don't understand. And I was to seek counsel with my Rebbeim for CHIZUK and everything. And they would give me CHIZUK and they would tell me certain things to do that will be mechazik me. And I'm telling you the truth, the shidduch with my wife, it came out of left field. It was so far out of left field that it came like that. You can't even understand. And it went so fast. And the dating went so fast. And the engagement, I remember my parents had people, friends of theirs that were on vacation in the summertime. And they come back and there's a wedding invitation in their mailbox. And they said, we didn't even know your son was dating. They said, neither did we. Because Yeshua's Hashem keheref ayin. The salvation of Hashem, it comes like that. But we have to live with that belief that Hashem can send salvation and He can help us and lift us up any moment. How do you do that? So He's suggesting, say some more Tehillim. Because as he said before, when you say Tehillim, it infuses a muda pshuta, simple faith inside of your hearts. And when you have simple faith, unadulterated, not complicated, you actually start to believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You see the world in a different way. You deal with the struggles in a positive and not a negative light. You walk around with your shoulders up, not hunched over. Your smile is facing up, not the frown that's going down. Because the emunah is what is driving us. Mitzvah Hashem, whatever Yeshua's Hashem, whatever salvations we need in our lives, we should see them keheref ayin, in the blink of an eye, in the schos of us believing in Hashem, that's how fast He can bring salvation to our lives.
Thank you.
You're welcome.